Oh boy, there's so much AI news coming out at the moment. I just can't wait to try out all the new capabilities. Let's see. There's this pin that claims it's gonna replace my phone.
Can I eat this?
Yes, dragon fruits are low in sugar.
With only voice input. And what's this? There's another one. That's pretty cool. How about making videos? I mean, in real life, making a video means you have to write, shoot, edit, repeat every week. So if you just type in a sentence here, you get a video in 10 seconds. That's pretty compelling. And here, an app that's basically Scarlett Johansson from Her.
Whoops, I got too excited. I'm ready when you are.
Is that a good thing? So, when can I get started?
Alright, well, the Humane AI pin has come out, as well as the Rabbit R1, but they're still missing some big functionality that's coming this summer. Sora is not out, it's still being tested, and the ChatGPT app has no fixed publication date.
Once upon a time, in a world not too different from ours.
What's going on? Are these AI features coming out or not? Why announce them if you have no release dates or if no one can use them yet? This is a video about early access in AI, and we'll be releasing it next month. What, you'd rather have it right now? Okay. The tech space is not new to big promises. From Theranos, the blood testing company that turned out to be a scam, promising to revolutionize blood testing. From one drop of blood, you will be able to run 115 tests.
Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes has now officially been indicted on federal wire fraud charges.
To Tesla, promising full self-driving for its car, coming out next year. For every year in the last half of a decade. To even crypto and NFTs, promising to disrupt everything and be the next big thing. Are we still talking about crypto and NFTs? Tech is no stranger to big promises that don't pan out. Is this current batch of AI coming soon any different from all these other promises? To tell you about that, I need to tell you about video games. Back in the 90s, this is how most games were launched. We have a commercial. This game will be coming out at date.
Can you catch all 150 Pokemon? On your Game Boy, that's where.
I never said the 90s weren't a weird time.
It's date now. You can buy it at the store. That's the whole relationship you have with your publisher. But say we're now in the 2020s, and my name is Big Studio Bethesda. I'm a large developer that's been working on a game for the past 5 or 6 years, with thousands of people crunching day and night to meet my deadline. This game will launch at this date. Here's some flashy visuals, a demo, and a trailer. Okay, today's release date, and what do you mean the game is delayed? Well, I guess it's just to make sure that we can polish it some more and, remove all the bugs. Okay, we've pushed back the release, it's releasing now. And it's not running on your console, we've got some security issues, and the multiplayer's not working. No worries, here's an update on the day of release, that's called the Day Zero patch, to patch most of the pressing issues, and for the other ones, well, we can just fix it over the course of 2 years. It's fine. It just works. It just works. When a game was a cartridge that you bought once and plugged into a standalone console, that was the finished product. Nothing could be changed. The game was the game, bugs and all, and you'd want to make sure that it's as polished as possible when you release it. But now, we have the internet.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
You're able to download updates, new content, and patches for bugs or errors at the push of a button. All of a sudden, the consequence of making a mistake in a game development went from, oh my god, your game will not sell and you'll have mountains of cartridges rotting on the shelves and burning a hole in your wallet, to, oh, you can fix the problem in 5 minutes, or maybe not 5 minutes, but like half a day, and most people won't even know about it. So when digital distribution became possible, publishers started to think, well, if you're able to patch issues on the fly, and people want to have access to the game as fast as possible, do you really need to finish the game before you sell it? And if people really want to play, how about getting them to test it themselves? For a fee. This was, and still is, a job, being a game tester. But now, people pay for the privilege of playing your unfinished game, and all the telemetry data that they gather from all the crashes that you find, or some small bugs, gets sent out to the developers. This is called early access, and it has changed the way that games are developed. In an ideal world, players get access to a game early, report bugs, suggest features, and can help shape the game. It's a collaboration that has allowed many smaller game studios to put out a game at all, like with Hades or Hades 2.
While early access was initially devised for indie studios that didn't have the means, it quickly went on to become a mainstay of the modern games industry, with hits like DayZ, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or this year's Game of the Year, Baldur's Gate 3, all being funded through early access development. But if the advantage of early access was mostly for indie studios, why is everyone going to early access models now?
The reason for that is, just think about it for a second, in the old model, you work for 5, 6, 7, 8 years on a game, selling absolutely nothing. So you have to be able to pay hundreds of developers for 8 years of development with zero income. That's expensive. With early access, you can work on the game for 2 or 3 years and put it out in early access, start getting income, and creating this positive feedback loop where lots of people get interested in the game and form this community. That's the theory. But as you know, if you've got deadlines, as soon as you lose the consequences for finishing your work on time, you need to finish it so fast. This is the first draft, but more features are coming this summer, don't worry. How did it get so dark? Okay, there might be some links between developing a game and an AI system, but it's not as if it was the same thing, right? I mean, you can use ChatGPT today, and it feels like a pretty complete product, right? Sure, but you can also play an early access game. That doesn't mean it's finished or that it's actually good to use. Here's a sentence for you. Your data may be used to improve the quality of responses. You're the one making the AI systems better. Just like with a video game that's in early access. Iterative improvements is the way that we got from GPT-3 to the latest models, and that's mostly a good thing. Huh. Besides, look at this. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. Gemini may display inaccurate information, including about people, so double check its responses. We've had these disclaimers in front of AI chatbots since the release of ChatGPT back in 2022. The AI products we have today still make a lot of mistakes. From misinformation to image generators going haywire, it's hard to argue that AI is mature. It's also difficult to trust what it's telling us it's true, let alone that it's even good. Okay, but I want to make them better. I don't mind too much when they make mistakes. I mean, I make mistakes too. They're useful nonetheless. So why are you talking about it like it's a bad thing? Mistakes are fine if you're actually going to fact check the output from your computer. But devices like the Rabbit R1, the Humane Pin, or ChatGPT 4o, or video and voice chatbots, the companies want you to think of this as a conversation between friends or between you and an assistant. Oh. And so how are you meant to fact check a voice assistant without using your phone? Exactly. That's the first consequence of early access development in AI. We're being asked to trust AI systems more and more, despite not being given any proof that they're actually all that much more trustworthy.
All things considered, AI is a very new industry that hasn't yet had the time to go through all the pitfalls of early access developments that gaming has. So let's see what issues early access has had in games.
On one hand, early access has allowed studios to start from almost nothing and create a finished game. On the other, it's made it much easier for games with a flashy pitch and a demo to take people's money and either develop an inferior product to what was promised by the trailers and by the initial pitch, or just never develop it in the first place. I mean, if you spend money on your developers, which are your friends, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, well, we spent all the money and we didn't come out with anything, then, well, you've made a lot of money. Oh, right. I saw it in the news the other day. I think it was called The Day Before. The development team was accused of plagiarism, misrepresenting and faking demos, being a whole scam. It's a mess, and this kind of situation has become very common in the gaming space. Okay, but how does this apply to AI? I mean, Google or Microsoft aren't just gonna lie, are they? Well, Google has been guilty of tampering with demos in the past to make its assistants look good, hiding the fact that there was some human intervention between each of the steps that is shown in the video. Okay, but why would they want to lie? Wouldn't anyone stop trusting them if they lied? For a company like Google or OpenAI, sure, grossly misrepresenting what their assistants could do would be a problem. But if they just, nudge it a little bit or just hide a few things, it has almost no impact. And even if they lie a lot, it doesn't have as much of an impact as you might think. AI companies have big ambitions, and no more is that more obvious than with Tesla's full self-driving. Elon Musk has been saying that full self-driving was coming next year for the past, since 2019. And this whole branding and marketing has made people believe that full self-driving that they offer in Tesla cars is much safer than it actually is. This has put a lot of people's lives at risk, from the drivers to the passengers to even just people on the streets that might get hit by a car. Despite that, Tesla got to enjoy the effect of seeming like they had this cutting-edge software, full self-driving, and they're only now starting to face backlash from users and regulators.
Bay Area law firm has filed a class action lawsuit against Tesla, claiming the company's self-driving technology doesn't work.
Competition in the AI space, like in gaming, is really fierce. And smaller companies that don't have the resources of Google or of Microsoft backing them up still need to show that they're on the cutting edge to attract capital. So what other choice do they have than inflating what they actually can do? If the consequence of lying or, boasting a little bit for an AI startup is still having a company in 5 years, though having some legal problems, versus having no company at all, well, who cares if you fake it till you make it, right? Well, depends on your ethics and how much you actually think you can achieve it, right? But that's pretty wild. Okay, I see why they would lie, but in the case of GPT-4o, Sora, or Gemini, we actually have a real-time demo. Is that not enough to trust that it's going to come out? Yeah, it's definitely more credible, but until it's out in the public, we don't know how many takes they did with the AI, where it failed, or how cherry-picked those examples were.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions.
In the case of Google's Assistant, journalists were able to converse with Gemini Live. But then again, that's only a few devices with employee supervision. And who knows how much computer power they're using, if it's actually representative of what that is going to look like in the real world. We've seen the impact of that hype with the Rabbit R1 and Human AI Pin. Despite the grand claims of replacing your phone, the first generation of these products fell completely flat on their promises. And you're not able to set reminders, you're not able to have basic functionality that you would expect from a phone from, 2010. They do promise that they'll have fixes for it this summer, but then again, you don't know if they're gonna extend that once you get to the summer or how much is going to be fixed. Okay, so what's new? Well, it's the fact that coming this summer works at all. That's quite telling of the amount of hype that there is in the AI community. Back in the day, you'd have been laughed at for making claims as big as we're going to replace your phone with no solid evidence. But now that AI has this whole hype around it, well, people are much more willing to say, okay, well, give it 3 months, give it 6 months, give it a year or two, and let's see if they make anything. And who knows? Maybe companies like Humane or like Rabbit are going to be able to create something within those time limits. Or maybe the Sora image generator will come out by the end of the year. But that's the whole point. You have no idea when anything is going to come out. So all of this delaying is bad, right? And I wouldn't say that. For example, Sora is being tested to make sure that it doesn't generate any inappropriate video or it's not used for harm, which is fair enough. But all of this to say, at the end of the day, we've entered a new era of AI. Like with games, early access is a powerful tool. Done right, it will allow companies to deliver value to users while still training its AI models and learning with real user data along the way, which is how people break AI systems, how people interact with them. That's really valuable, and you can't get that in a lab. But done wrong, it can be used by grifters, as we saw in the gaming space. If we just had less hype and wait to see until the final product comes out to actually give a judgment or say this is the best thing ever, then that would save us a lot of disappointments, and certainly from the disappointment of saying, oh, it's coming out this summer. And I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to save you from the disappointments of this being the last sentence of Tech Asia for this week, comma. Make sure you leave us a comment about how early access has affected you, and until next week's episode, take care.